I fished everything from a $250 kayak to $5,000 kayaks, new canoes, sun dolphins, wilderness systems, bonafides, natives, Hobies, perceptions, communal journeys, sea eagles, Brooklyn's, old towns, you name it. I've been in them. Some were incredible, some were huge disappointments. But after years on the water, I realized the biggest lesson had nothing to do with one single kayak. They were about how to choose the right kayak in the first place. Lesson number one, stability isn't always better. The first question around kayaks is how stable is it, right? It's a fair question, don't get me wrong, but I also think it's one of the most misunderstood topics in kayak fishing. The most stable kayak isn't automatically the best kayak. Manufacturers intentionally build different levels of stability because every hull design comes with trade-offs. The kayak that is incredibly stable to stand in is usually wider, heavier, catches more wind, and requires more effort to paddle. The kayak designed to paddle usually requires less effort, right, to cover miles of water. But that design usually give up some initial stability in exchange for that speed and efficiency. So neither one is wrong, they're simply built for different anglers. And to understand that, you need to understand there are actually two different types of kayak stability. You got your primary stability. This is what you feel sitting flat on calm water, right? It's that confidence inspiring feeling the moment you climb aboard. Wide, flat bottom kayaks usually excel here, which is why beginners tend to love them. Secondary stability is what happens when the kayak starts to lean, right? Instead of wanting to roll over, the hull firms up and supports you, and some of the best performing fishing kayaks actually feel a little lively at first, but become incredibly predictable once they're edged over. And that's why two kayaks with the exact same width can feel completely different. But here's something else that people overlook. Stability isn't just about the kayak, right? It's also about the paddler. I've watched experienced anglers stand comfortably in kayaks many people would consider tippy, simply because they have great balance and great boat control. I've also watched people struggle to stand in some of the widest kayaks on the market. That's why I always tell people, know your limits. So if you're brand new to kayak fishing, right, there's nothing wrong with buying extra stability. But if you spent years on the water, you may actually enjoy a kayak that's a little less stable because it paddles better, moves faster, and performs more efficiently. So once you stop shopping for the most stable kayak and start shopping for the right amount of stability, your choices become much clearer. And that leads me directly into the next lesson. Number two, don't forget about the hull design, right? One of the biggest mistakes I see people making is buying a kayak based off of everything they can see above the waterline. The seat, the storage, the accessory tracks, colors, features. Meanwhile, they completely ignore the one thing that affects how the kayak actually performs, the hull. There are a lot of different hull designs out there, and each one is built with a different purpose, right? You got pontoon hulls, generally maximize standing stability and are excellent for sight fishing and anglers who spend a lot of time on their feet. Then you got tunnel hulls, right? Tunnel hulls are often favored on high capacity fishing platforms. And then you got displacement hulls, right? They slice through the water efficiently, they paddle faster, they track better, and shine when you're covering distances. But the most modern fishing kayaks, they're gonna combine several of these styles into a hybrid because manufacturers are trying to balance speed, stability, tracking, maneuverability, and fishability all at the same time. So that's why I tell people to stop asking, what is the best fishing kayak? And instead ask yourself, where do you fish? Do I mostly stand or do I mostly sit? Am I paddling a mile or am I paddling 5, right? Do I eventually want a motor? Am I fishing rivers or open water or small ponds? And once you answer these questions, you'll eliminate half the market almost immediately. Lesson number 3, talk a little bit about money. So one thing I've learned after fishing out of like 20 plus different fishing kayaks is that fishing kayaks are going to fall into different value tiers. And understanding what you get as you move up those tiers can save you a lot of money and a lot of disappointment. So roughly under that $700 MSRP, you're shopping for an entry-level kayak. Can you catch fish from them? Absolutely. Like, fish don't care what you're floating in. But manufacturers, they have to hit a price point somewhere. And that usually means thinner plastics, molded seats instead of frame seats. You got cheaper plastics, right? Fewer accessory tracks, simpler rigging, and hull designs that prioritize affordability over performance. Then you move into that $700 to $1,500 MSRP range. This is where the biggest jump in value is going to happen. You typically find thicker plastics and better quality plastics. You got better hardware, elevated frame seats, better hull designs, higher weight capacities, more storage, better tracking, and more room to really grow into that kayak as an angler. And for many people, that is the sweet spot. But once you move above that roughly $1,500, you're generally entering the premium category. Now you're looking at purpose-built, like tournament kayaks, purpose-built kayaks, river kayaks, offshore platforms, motor-ready designs, premium seating, premium plastics, integrated electronics and mounting and cleaner rigging, and boats designed really to excel in specific scenarios. Now, the goal isn't to buy the most expensive kayak, it's to buy the one with the features you'll actually use. But don't forget lesson 4. Here's one thing a lot of people don't think about is what happens after you buy it, right? What happens if something goes wrong? Even the best manufacturers occasionally have defects. The real question isn't whether something can happen, it's how the company responds when it does. Read the warranty. Understand exactly what it says and what it covers. I got a little wind. I don't want that showing up in the video. I'm gonna put this dead cat on. All right, where were we? Oh, read the warranty, right? Understand exactly what it covers. Most kayak warranties cover manufacturer defects in materials and workmanship, not impacts and dragging and improper storage and modifications or abuse. So research the company itself, not just the kayak, and ask questions like, how do they handle warranty claims? Can you actually reach customer service? Do they stock replacement parts? Are they in stock right now? Do owners feel like they are treated fairly? A lot of times I like to join these groups on Facebook because you hear a lot of that stuff from the owners groups. So a great warranty isn't about how long it lasts. It's about whether the company actually stands behind their product. Now, also, while you're researching support, also decide whether you're buying from a dealer or direct to consumer. Now, there's trade-offs with both. Buying from a dealer often gives you someone who can inspect the kayak before you get it, right? They're gonna help with warranty claims. They can help find replacement parts and advocate for you if something goes wrong. And buying direct isn't a bad option either, right? In fact, you can often save money or get features you wouldn't otherwise have. But here's the trade-off. You become your own customer service department. If the kayak arrives damaged, if a part is missing, if you need replacement parts, or if you have a warranty issue, you're the one making phone calls, sending the emails, documenting the problem, and following up until it is resolved. I don't know, think about it. Who's the manufacturer likely going to respond to faster? The dealer who sells hundreds of kayaks every year and hundreds of thousands of dollars, or one individual customer? That doesn't mean companies don't care about individual buyers, but dealers usually have an established relationship and dedicated contacts that most consumers simply don't have, speeding up that process. But sometimes saving a few $100s up front is absolutely worth it. Other times, having someone in your corner is worth far more. So just make sure you do the research on this often missed part of purchasing a fishing kayak. Lesson number 5. It's easy to fall in love with the kayak sitting on the showroom floor. It's much harder to love it after a 10-hour fishing trip when you're trying to lift 110 pounds onto the roof of your SUV. So before buying, ask yourself, can I load it by myself? Will it fit in my garage? Do I need a trailer? How far do I need to carry it to the launch? And remember, transportation often comes with a hidden cost. Maybe you need a kayak cart or a roof rack or a truck bed extender or maybe even a trailer. And those costs, they can add up quickly and they might not have been in your budget. And the easiest kayak to own is usually the kayak you fish out of the most. So if loading it becomes a workout every trip because you bought something too heavy, chances are you eventually find excuses to leave it at home. Sometimes buying a slightly smaller or lighter kayak means you'll actually spend more days in it out in the water. That's always the better investment. Lesson number 6, choose the right propulsion, right? Years ago, this decision was pretty simple. You bought a paddle. Today, you have multiple options. Paddle, pedal, you got bow mounted motors, you got stern mounted motors, some do pedal, paddle, and motors. It's crazy. And each is going to have their advantages. I'm in the Camino Journey Outpost 128. I got a pedal drive, I got a paddle, and I'm probably gonna put a motor on it, see how it does. So let's break them down really fast, right? Those paddle kayaks are gonna be lighter, they're gonna be less expensive, they're gonna require little maintenance, and they're easy to transport and easy to store. For many anglers, that's all you're gonna ever need. Pedal kayaks, They changed the sport when they came out. Being able to fish with semi-hands-free while controlling your boat was a huge advantage. You can work shorelines more efficiently. You can hold yourself on structure and make constant boat control adjustments. You can backpedal out of a dock that a fish is pulling you into, right? I've had that happen before. So it's easy just to instant reverse. But obviously, they cost more. Like these pedal drives are like $1,000. They're gonna weigh more, they're gonna require more maintenance. Motors take things even further. If you fish regularly, like large reservoirs, the Great Lakes, or tournaments, a motor can completely change your day. You'll cover more water, you'll fight wind more efficiently, you'll arrive less fatigued, and spend more time actually fishing. But motors also add batteries and chargers and wiring and mounting systems and registration requirements in many states and maintenance and significantly more weight. And at that point, you're no longer just buying a kayak. You're buying a very small fishing boat. But I also want to let you know, don't feel like you're behind if you're still paddling, right? I've caught just as many memorable fish from a simple paddle kayak than I have any fully rigged tournament machine. So buy the propulsion system that fits your water, your budget, and the way you enjoy fishing. All right, lesson number 7. Here's another mistake I see all the time. People look at the kayak's maximum weight capacity, purchase the kayak, and then completely ignore it altogether. And what people don't realize is this: that kayak has a maximum weight capacity, and in my opinion, a usable weight capacity. Think of it like a pickup truck. Just because it's rated to carry 2,000 pounds doesn't mean it performs best carrying 2,000 pounds every single day. Fishing kayaks work the same way. As you approach the maximum capacity, the kayak's gonna sit lower, it pushes more water, it paddles slower, it takes more effort, and the wind's gonna affect it differently. The deck's gonna get closer to the water line, and performance and stability begin to change. Personally, I like to leave about a 20% margin below the published capacity. So treat the published capacity as the absolute maximum, not the target. For example, a 400-pound capacity, I like to stay around 320 pounds fully loaded. 425-pound capacity, you're looking around 340 pounds. Leave yourself some room to grow. Your kayak, your fishing experience will be much better because of it. And one last lesson: don't overlook the used market. Some of the best values in kayak fishing are lightly used kayaks, right? Saving 30 to 40% off retail isn't uncommon, but remember, those savings usually come with a trade-off. In most cases, you're buying it without a factory warranty. Most kayak warranties only cover defects in materials and workmanship. They require proof of purchase from the original owner. So before you buy, inspect the hull carefully for cracks, deep gouges, repairs, check for excessive wear, make sure replacement parts are still available, and verify that everything from the seat to the steering system is in good working order. So if you do your homework, buying used can be one of the smartest ways to get into a fishing kayak while saving a significant amount of money. So final thoughts, right? There isn't a perfect fishing kayak. There never will be. The best kayak isn't the most stable. It isn't the most expensive. It isn't the one with the most features. And it certainly isn't the one everyone else is buying, right? The best fishing kayak is the one that fits your water, your budget, your experience, in the way you actually fish. So buy the right hull, buy the right amount of stability, understand what you're paying for, think about ownership, not just the purchase price, buy the propulsion you'll actually use, leave room in your weight capacity, and if buying used makes sense, understand the trade-offs before you hand over your money. Because after being in more than 20 fishing kayaks, I've realized something. The kayak doesn't make the angler, right? It simply makes it easier to get out on the water. And the angler who spends the most time on the water, usually the one that catches the most fish. So before you go, if you want to become a safer, more confident angler on the water, check out Kayak Fishing Advanced Safety Training, KFAST.co. It's an online safety course that's going to walk you through how to be out there safer and come home every single time. And if you suck at the chatterbait, I got a video for you. If you suck at the swim jig, right there. Thanks for watching, guys. See you out in the water.